What's up, everybody? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do some different types of gutturals. So if you love deep, nasty, disgusting screams as much as I do, and you're trying to learn how to do them, you might be kind of at a loss. You might be like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do, right? How do I get my scream? Which a lot of people, their new scream, or I should say their beginning scream is kind of around here. That's where a lot of people start, right? And that's a solid sound that you can use. They're wondering, how do I get my scream more, here? And that's a really good question. Well, the best place to start, and what we're going to be focusing on entirely today, is mouth shape and tongue position. Now, here's the thing. There is more to it than that because there are different types of the distortion. There are different levels of constriction that we can use. Of course, we have to have a lot of breath support behind it. So this video is not going to give you every single thing you need to make sure that you have the best type of guttural possible. But what it is going to do is it's going to help you figure out the most prominent, or I should say the most impactful part of creating a guttural sound, which is your mouth shape. One of the most common misconceptions I hear is that our mouth needs to be closed for gutturals. I hear this all the time, especially from new students. They say like, well, I want to have a really closed mouth for my guttural scream to make it really deep and low. And I'm going to take my throat and I'm going to pull it all down here like this. So I'm going to have a guttural that sounds like that. And that's usually the sound that comes out. And this is the first thing that I want to address is the majority of the time for any of your deep guttural screams, you're going to want to have your mouth nice and open. Ah. One of the best ways to do this is to just practice an ah vowel, right? Don't worry about your pitch. We're screaming, right? We're just going to be making an ah. Ah, ha. You can breathe in. Ah, ha. I feel nice and open in the back. A very old exercise that can be very, very useful is yawning. We take that yawn sound and we think about how it feels in the back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stop the dropping of the larynx. So instead of it sounding like this, we're here. Ah, ah, ah. There we go. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our lips and we're going to close them in slightly. Now, there are a lot of different positions that we can use. There's the fish face. There's the curled in lips. There's the sort of halfway between each, right? We can use any of those, right? Right now, what I want you to focus on is ooh, ooh. Just a normal ooh, right? So I'm going to start here. Ow, ooh, 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 ooh. Now from here, we're just going to curl our tongue in slightly. Ow, ooh. My tongue is in almost the same position that it would be in if I was to say lovely, lavender, lollapalooza, right? You can have it on your teeth, or you can have it on that bumpy part of the roof of your mouth behind your teeth. That's called the alveolar ridge. Anywhere in that space is fine. Play around with it and see what feels the best and what gives you the biggest, boomiest sound. Ooh, ooh. Notice when I take this away, ooh, ah. I'm not doing anything here. This is all happening in the mouth. Ooh. That right there is your standard guttural position. Ooh. And if I put distortion through it, I've got a pretty decent guttural. But what else can I do, right? That's a good place to start. It's a really strong sound and that can carry you through your whole career. But what if I want to get a little bit freaky? If you've ever been in a recording studio, you've probably heard of, seen, or utilized an EQ. We're going to kind of think of our tongue as an EQ. What that means is that we're going to think about the tongue position moving around, creating differences in which frequencies are more prominent and less prominent, making the scream sound boomier and deeper, or making the scream sound a little bit lighter and higher in frequency. If you don't want to think about it in those technical terms, you can kind of think of it more like as I'm going to make myself sound like I have a big open guttural, a small tight pukey guttural, or something else, right? You don't really have to know the technical bits to understand that if you slide your tongue around, you're going to find some cool spots. So let me show you some of my favorites. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that ul sound, ul, ooh, and I'm actually going to slide my tongue back. I'm not going to create any tension, and I'm not going to pull my tongue back down my throat. Think about it like a trombone slider. I'm just going to take it and pull it about halfway back where my soft palate and hard palate start to meet. Now, if that's too uncomfortable for you, don't go that far back. Simple enough, right? Here's kind of what we're going to get. That sound right there. If I start to put distortion through it, sounds kind of neat. Check it out. Now, it is pretty hard to articulate with this sound because your tongue is all kind of bundled up. But the most important thing I want to point out is that the back of my mouth is not closing in. I'm not going, I'm going, Again, check it out. Playing around with vowels in that position can create some really cool tones. So that's the first thing you can do. Once you have the basic guttural, now, if we want to kind of flip things around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tongue and instead of curled up this way, I'm going to bring it down behind my teeth. This is similar to a tunnel throat on a high scream. But we're going to be using it in a low position. My goal here is to create that boomy sound underneath my tongue and above it, right? So my lip is curled, or I'm sorry, my tongue is curled. My tongue is up on the sides. You can hear that once I seal that gap with my lips, I start to get a really boomy sound inside of my mouth. If I put distortion through there, it's going to sound kind of neat. Now, it sounds a little bit more boomy than the tongue up. Listen to the differences. Tongue up. So it has kind of like a sort of drain pipe situation. That whistling is coincidental. That's just some of that accidentally getting through. Okay, now I want to show you one more. This is one of my absolute favorites. You're never going to hear it in Kardashev because Kardashev ain't this brutal. But maybe if I ever do a crazier project, we'll see. But this one is actually going to kind of break the mold a little bit. This is where we are going to sort of close up slightly. I'm going to take my tongue and instead of here, and instead of here, I'm just going to set it on my lip. Close the lips. You can hear that echoiness. Anytime you have that echoey, boomy sound in your voice, you can be fairly sure that it's going to be a cool sounding metal vocal, right? There are an infinite amount of ways that we can hold our tongue, and a lot of it involves just playing around with what works for you. But again, these three are some of my favorites. Now I'm gonna sort of go with my guttural, but I'm gonna think about like puking a little bit. That sort of tighter, sort of more vomit sound is a little bit different because we do get a little closure in the back. However, we can still drop our jaw. We can still create a lot of space to give it that guttural sound. All right, I'm going to give you one bonus one. This one's weird. I'm going to take my tongue and I'm actually going to put it flat on the roof of my mouth. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little bowl in my tongue and I'm going to disconnect one side of my tongue from my teeth. A little space for air to move through. It's going to sound like this. See how I've moved that on the outside of the teeth? This one's funky. You're going to have to play around with it for a while. Hey, everybody. You hear that boominess. Hey. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak out of the side of my mouth, sealing up the other end. Hi. When I was first playing around with this would cause a ton of tension on the side of my neck. If you're getting that, before you even try to start screaming through it, start moving your mouth around and disconnecting your mental link from here to here, right? It is true that all of these muscles are interlocked and intertwined in some fashion, but we can move up here without doing a lot of squeezing in the actual neck, right? So, oi, hi, right there, hi. Now, if I put my distortion through there, hi, it gives you a really cool kind of like back and forth. You can close the lips a little bit to get more of a guttural sound. You can open up the lips to get a little bit more of a mid sound. Throw some of that at the beginning of your harsh distortion. And at the end of the day, it's all just mids. Hopefully that helped you play around with some cool guttural tones. Let me know if it did. Again, there's a lot more to vocal distortion than just your mouth shape, but the shape of your mouth, the position of your tongue, and all that good stuff is an incredibly huge part of how we sound, cool and brutal and all these things. If you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. If you like tutorial videos like this, let me know. I know I do 99.9% reaction videos. But if you like tutorials like this, let me know. Maybe I'll put up some more. That being said, many thanks. Much love. I'm out.